I think, scarcely see that the disease has made Richard negligent of his person." The celebrated master of the Templars was a tall, thin, war worn man, with a slow yet penetrating eye, and a brow on which 1,000 dark intrigues had stamped a portion of their obscurity. At the head of that singular body, to whom their order was everything and their individuality nothing, seeking the advancement of its power, even at the hazard of that very religion which the fraternity were originally associated to protect, accused of heresy and witchcraft, although by their character Christian priests, suspected of secret league with the Soldan, though by oath devoted to the protection of the Holy Temple or its recovery, the whole order, and the whole personal character of its commander, or Grand Master, was a riddle at the exposition of which most men shuddered. The Grand Master was dressed in his white robes of solemnity, and he bore the abacus, a mystic staff of office, the peculiar form of which has given rise to such singular conjectures and commentaries, leading to suspicions that this celebrated fraternity of Christian knights were embodied under the foulest symbols of paganism. Conrade of Montserrat had a much more pleasing exterior than the dark and mysterious priest soldier by whom he was accompanied. He was a handsome man of middle age, or something past that term, bold in the field, sagacious in council, gay and gallant in times of festivity. But, on the other hand, he was generally accused of versatility, of a narrow and selfish ambition, of a desire to extend his own principality without regard to the weal of the Latin kingdom of Palestine, and of seeking his own interest by private negotiations with Saladin, to the prejudice of the Christian leaguers. When the usual salutations had been made by these dignitaries, and courteously returned by King Richard, the Marquis of Montserrat commenced an explanation of the motives of their visit, sent, as he said they were, by the anxious kings and princes who composed the council of the Crusaders, to inquire into the health of their magnanimous ally, the valiant King of England. "We know the importance in which the princes of the council hold our health," replied the English king, "and are well aware how much they must have suffered by suppressing all curiosity concerning it for 14 days, for fear, doubtless, of aggravating our disorder by showing their anxiety regarding the event." The flow of the Marquis's eloquence being checked, and he himself thrown into some confusion by this reply, his more austere companion took up the thread of the conversation, and with as much dry and brief gravity as was consistent with the persons which he addressed, informed the king that they came from the council to pray, in the name of Christendom, that he would not suffer his health to be tampered with by an infidel physician, said to be dispatched by Saladin, until the council had taken measures to remove or confirm the suspicion which they at present conceived to attach itself to the mission of such a person. "Grand Master of the holy and valiant order of Knights Templars, and you, most noble Marquis of Montserrat," replied Richard, "if it please you to retire into the adjoining pavilion, you shall presently see what account we make of the tender remonstrances of our royal and princely colleagues in this religious warfare." The Marquis and Grand Master retired accordingly, nor had they been many minutes in the outward pavilion when the Eastern physician arrived, accompanied by the Baron of Gilsland and Kenneth of Scotland. The Baron, however, was a little later of entering the tent than the other two, stopping perchance to issue some orders to the warders without. As the Arabian physician entered, he made his obeisance, after the Oriental fashion, to the Marquis and Grand Master, whose dignity was apparent, both from their appearance and their bearing. The Grand Master returned the salutation with an expression of disdainful coldness, the Marquis with the popular courtesy which he habitually practised to men of every rank and nation. There was a pause, for the Scottish knight, waiting for the arrival of De Vaux, presumed not, of his own authority, to enter the tent of the King of England, and during this interval the Grand Master sternly demanded of the Moslem, "Infidel, hast thou the courage to practise thine art upon the person of an anointed sovereign of the Christian host?" "The Son of Allah," answered the sage, "shines on the Nazarene as well as on the true believer, and his servant dare make no distinction betwixt them when called on to exercise the art of healing." "Misbelieving Hakim," said the Grand Master, "or whatsoever they call thee, for an unbaptized slave of darkness, dost thou well know that thou shalt be torn asunder by wild horses should King Richard die under thy charge?" "That were a hard justice," answered the physician, "seeing that I can but use human means, and that the issue is written in the Book of Light." "Nay, reverend and valiant Grand Master," said the Marquis of Montserrat, "consider that this learned man is not acquainted with our Christian order, adopted into the fear of God and for the safety of his anointed. Be it known to thee, grave physician, whose skill we doubt not, that your wisest course is to repair to the presence of the illustrious council of our Holy League, and there to give account and reckoning to such wise and learned leeches as they shall nominate, concerning your means of process and cure of this illustrious patient. So shall you escape all the danger which, rashly taking such a high matter upon your sole answer, you may else most likely incur." "My lords," said El Hakim, "I understand you well, but knowledge hath its champions as well as your military art, nay, hath sometimes had its martyrs as well as religion. I have the command of my sovereign, the Soldan Saladin, to heal this Nazarene king, and, with the blessing of the Prophet, I will obey his commands. If I fail, ye wear swords thirsting for the blood of the faithful, and I prefer my body to your weapons. But I will not reason with one uncircumcised upon the virtue of the medicines of which I have obtained knowledge through the grace of the Prophet, and I pray you interpose no delay between me and my office." "Who talks of delay?" said the Baron de Vaux, hastily entering the tent. "We have had but too much already. I salute you, my Lord of Montserrat, and you, valiant Grand Master. But I must presently pass with this learned physician to the bedside of my master." "My lord," said the Marquis in Norman French, or in the language of we, as it was then called, "are you well advised that we come to expostulate, on the part of the Council of the Monarchs and Princes of the Crusade, against the risk of permitting an infidel and Eastern physician to tamper with a health so valuable as that of your master, King Richard?" "Noble Lord Marquis," replied the Englishman bluntly, "I can neither use many words, nor do I delight in listening to them. Moreover, I am much more ready to believe what my eyes have seen than what my ears have heard. I am satisfied that this heathen can cure the sickness of King Richard, and I believe and trust he will labour to do so. Time is precious. If Mohammed, may God's curse be on him, stood at the door of the tent, with such fair purpose as this Adonbec el Hakim entertains, I would hold it sin to delay him for a minute. So give ye God end, my lords." "Nay, but," said Conrade of Montserrat, "the King himself said we should be present when this same physician dealt upon him." The Baron whispered the chamberlain, probably to know whether the Marquis spoke truly, and then replied, "My lords, if you will hold your patience, you are welcome to enter with us. But if you interrupt, by action or threat, this accomplished physician in his duty, be it known that, without respect to your high quality, I will enforce your absence from Richard's tent. For know, I am so well satisfied of the virtue of this man's medicines, that were Richard himself to refuse them, by Our Lady of Lanercost, I think I could find it in my heart to force him to take the means of his cure, whether he would or no. Move onward, El Hakim." The last word was spoken in the lingua franca, and instantly obeyed by the physician. The Grand Master looked grimly on the unceremonious old soldier, but on exchanging a glance with the Marquis, smoothed his frowning brow as well as he could, and both followed De Vaux and the Arabian into the inner tent, where Richard lay expecting them.